It's your one-stop shop for great wrestling. WrestleCopia.com, where you'll find an armload of great wrestling podcasts. Some are weekly, some are not. All of them are great. Ray Russell brings WrestleCopia to you, including his own show, The Wrestling Memory Grenade. There's Regional Wrestling, The Wrestling Stoop with Bob Roop, The Puro Wrestling Academy, Retro Wrestling Review with Gene Jackson, Dave Dynasty's Wrestling Nostalgia, Monday Warfare, Raw vs. Nitro, the Other Ship podcast, the Captain's Corner podcast, and much, much more. Great host, great shows. I guarantee you'll learn something every time you tune in to the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Where do you find all these shows? How about starting it this way? Just log on to WrestleCopia.com. There's nothing else like it anywhere. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Outdated Wrestling Hour once again. It's time for a show full of interviews from all kinds of people. Hall of Famers, not Hall of Famers. Super fans, super people, authors, and me. How come Bob never interviews me? I got a lot to say. For instance, about old school wrestling. I know all of it, you know. I saw a match where Pinky Lawson took on Joe Tyco. I actually heard a bunch of cell phones shutting off out there. You young punks! It's the Outdated Wrestling Hour. My back. It's a hodgepodge on the new Outdated Wrestling Hour podcast episode. Hi, my name is Bob Smith. They call me Pudge, not Podge, but it's close. And our co-host is the one and only Joe Puccio, our good Carvel Maven friend here. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Bob. Have you had any Carvel lately?
No, I'm on a health kick. I've cut my caloric intake down. I've not eating as much sugar. I do have, well, here's the thing. I told you I have a physical coming up in December. I want to get an A.
There you go. Yeah.
So I'm going to be a very good boy between now and then. I just have to be careful.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're back with another show. And this show is going to be a hodgepodge. And here's what I mean by that. It's a bunch of mini interviews. I've got a whole armload of them here with some special people who are connected with the show who you may not know about. Some great Hall of Fame professional wrestlers. Brian Solomon's going to talk about his new book here. We're just going to run this all right by you. It's going to be, you know what it's going to be like? It's going to be like, do you remember about 6-7 years ago, they started this cable TV network and all the shows were 15 minutes long and it died the minute it came on?
I do.
They even had Reno 911 new episodes that were 15 minutes long.
It's I remember it. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I feel like, was it 15 years ago? I feel like it was.
No. It's newer than that. Maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. 5 or 6 years ago.
But it was a flop from the minute they launched it.
Yep. I do remember that.
The odd thing is it wasn't bad, but people didn't like the format. It just died a quick, inglorious death, I guess. I don't know what to say. But speaking of Hall of Fames, let's talk about the WWE Hall of Fame for a minute. I don't think I've ever gotten your perspective on what is the most famous non-institution Hall of Fame there is. There is no physical Hall of Fame, which, by the way, a company as financially canny as the WWE, wouldn't you think that would draw people? A physical Hall of Fame?
Yes. As far as a physical Hall of Fame, I admit I am very surprised that they do not have one. As far as if they did one, I'm curious, or it's an interesting question where they would have it, because you could do a traveling Hall of Fame, but I feel like that's really not. It's not really as prudent as it's not as easy as it sounds, or maybe it doesn't sound. I just don't know if a traveling Hall of Fame would have the same weight. I feel like there has to be a permanent place where they can really set everything up. But where do you do it? I mean, do you do it in New York? Because New York has obviously always been considered their home base, even though they're not actually technically located in New York. But I mean, do you do it in the Mecca? Do you do it in Connecticut, in Stamford, where their headquarters are? Do you do it in Florida, where they have a lot of their shows? So it's an interesting question. I mean, where would you, if they did a physical one, where do you think would be the most successful location?
Burlington, Vermont. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. No, here's the thing. Here's the oddball thing. The National Baseball Hall of Fame is located in Cooperstown, New York, which is inaccessible by any means.
A great point.
And it's still one of the most popular tourist attractions in the United States of America. People come from all over the country and all over the world to see the plaques of the classic Hall of Fame players. I don't think building a new Hall of Fame in such an inaccessible area, like they pick some town that they, Allentown, Pennsylvania, let's put it where the arena used to be, that type of thing. I don't know what you would do or where you would put it. I think the question might be, what city would want it? And here's the difference today as opposed to any other time in wrestling history. You have cities fighting over SummerSlam and WrestleMania. They want them. They're coveting them. Don't you think some city would want a Hall of Fame?
I do. It's really a good question. I think for many years, I thought that New York City would be the best place, but now I realize that I don't think that would work. I just feel like there's already too much going on in New York City. Think of it as almost like remember when they did the restaurant in Times Square? Mm-hmm. And I went a couple of times and it was cool and everything, but it was more like a gimmick. I think you get tourists that go into New York City, they might stop in or whatever. I just don't think it would really work. I feel like it would get lost in the shuffle, so to speak, somewhere like that. So I do think it would have to be a little bit of a more, I guess, sort of like a more rural environment.
Well, not so much rural, but it has to have a tie-in with wrestling history, I think. You know why Atlanta is sticking in my mind now? The Carolinas are coming into my mind. Even Florida, I'm looking at it in terms of it's got to be a place with a wrestling past. And Minneapolis, I mean, that was a huge wrestling.
But a wrestling past, but not specifically a WWE wrestling.
I don't think that matters since the expansion.
Yeah.
If it's a real Hall of Fame, remember this Hall of Fame has not just the people you see inducted every year on the TV show. There's also a Legends area. Mm-hmm. They mention them once or twice, like Stan Stasiak's in the Hall of Fame, but you would never know it from, it's in that special category that they have.
It's the legacy category.
Right. Yeah. So it's almost like look at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. Now, Cleveland is a great radio city. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how it ended up in Cleveland. It just made sense that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is there, and it works. But that's a mid-sized city. So the WWE should look at a city about the size of Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And I think it could really work and become a major tourist attraction. They do everything else. They have a Hall of Fame, but no physical structure.
I feel like I think Triple H has talked about it before. I think he's been asked the question. I'm sure Vince has been asked years ago as well, but it is something that I feel like he has sort of fielded that question before. And I don't know. I think he's always just said, it's something they would consider, and he kind of just doesn't give a concrete answer. I agree. I mean, you would think with everything else they do, with the amount of endeavors and just all the different deals and the schools and the NXT stuff and all these different things they do, it is a little surprising that they wouldn't have this one destination for fans to sort of go out to and see. I don't know, maybe because it's so, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know it's huge professional wrestling, but it's also not in the same category of baseball. I mean, you mentioned Major League Baseball being in Cooperstown. Yes, that is in the middle of nowhere, but I mean, that's baseball.
I don't know if I agree with that. Wrestling is Taylor Swift right now. Wrestling 2 nights in a football stadium is the same thing as Taylor Swift coming to town in terms of economic impact on a city. Right now, as we speak, you've seen it over the course of the last 2 years. Record crowds, record gates, and prices aren't going down. So
No,
something that's less affordable and more accessible, I personally think it's a no-brainer.
no, I agree with that part, but I'm just saying, as far as the general fan or your typical mainstream person or human being, walking around. I mean, yes, WrestleMania is going to draw humongous crowds because of the event and people travel there, but those are the fans. But I'm
Right.
saying, like, I don't know about the typical Joe on the street that's walking around. Like, most people, you see somebody on the street and you say, "Oh, did you watch the game last night? Oh, did you see the Yankees lost last night? Oh man, yeah." And people tend to, you don't have to be a huge baseball fan, but you would probably know what happened. And yeah, I saw this happen. He struck out, whatever. Wrestling, I don't know. I mean, again, I know it's humongous, but I just don't know if you could walk on the street and, you ask anybody, you just say like, "Oh man, last night at WrestleMania, Cena, retired or something." I don't know if everyone is, there might be some people that say, "What? Oh no, I don't watch that." So I feel
All
like
right.
it's still that.
I devil's advocate again.
Yeah.
When they do have WrestleMania now, they also have fan fests all around it, where the fans get to meet the wrestlers,
Yes. Yeah.
and that stuff draws j people go to the fan fest without actually going to the wrestling event.
Right.
So I say if you had a Hall of Fame where once, twice a week, a legend shows up, signs
Yeah.
autographs, has a little interview, I just think it's the WWE gold mine they haven't pursued.
Yeah.
But then again, they're not the only ones making the decision now with this merger with, TKO.
Mhm.
So I think that, yeah, unless they think it's gonna be a humongous moneymaker, I don't know if they'd be interested, but 'cause, I read the quotes from the TKO guy a couple shows ago, and I think they're shooting themselves in the foot in terms of ticket. By the way, I told their listeners, so you weren't here for this, you were on the cruise. I said, "Go to Ticketmaster and look up
Yeah.
any WrestleMania ticket prices at any level,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
will fall
I
on the
know.
floor." It's
Oh, I know.
beyond obscene, to be honest with you.
And now I think it's even, from what I hear, it's even going to be, I believe I read it, I believe Meltzer wrote this, that because the year after, in 2027, it's gonna be in Saudi Arabia, they fans are aware, or I think they're aware that a lot of fans probably aren't gonna make the trip to Saudi Arabia. So I think that the hotels and the surrounding, costs in Vegas next year are getting even higher now because they're pricing it that way, because they know that if you don't go next year, I mean, let's be honest, there are fans that go every year to WrestleMania, but that streak is gonna be broken.
It's an oxymoron. You're telling me prices are higher for WrestleMania and Vegas itself is dead.
Oh,
It's floundering
yeah,
badly right now because of the economy and a bunch of other factors.
yeah,
So it's all confusing to me. That's why I much prefer putting on a video cassette of Ilio DiPaolo versus Johnny Rodz, and you watch that, and you're all excited, and you're back to your youth, and that's it. Things are very complicated, aren't they?
they
Very
are,
complicated.
and, let me just get this in quick, because I think this was your original point that I might have veered off into something else. When you asked about the WWE Hall of Fame and my feelings about it, I
Mhm.
wanna just say that, forgetting about the physical aspect of it in general, a lot of people criticize it. There's a lot of criticizing of it because of who votes on it, and it's really one person's vision, all this. And I will say that I just don't take it seriously, as far as, I think what it is, it's a marketing machine. It's something WWE does every year where they can have a ceremony about it and they could put out merchandise and things like that. Fine. That's fine. And I'm generally entertained by the ceremony every year. I'll put it on. And for the most part, the speeches are pretty cool. You never know what guys are going to say. Sometimes it's a little boring. They can go off on these tangents, but for the most part, it's good. But as far as a legitimate Hall of Fame, I will say this. I mean, if it's a Hall of Fame that's not actually being voted on by a committee, it's technically not really a wrestling Hall of Fame, because again, it used to be Vince that's just saying, "Yeah, I want this guy in, I don't want this guy in, I want this person in, I want to have one deceased wrestler in this year, I want to have one woman in this year," and they follow that. Whereas you look at something like the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame, where it's actually voted on by wrestlers from the past, by readers, by journalists, by historians, where they actually have a committee. So I don't think anyone could really say that that's not the more legitimate Hall of Fame. And don't fool yourself. The Observer Hall of Fame is really tough to get into. It's not like WWE Hall of Fame. There are talent that you think are going to get in, and they're not.
The International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Albany has a committee.
That too. No, I'm not taking anything. I'm saying that them as well. So the International Hall of Fame is the same thing, where they have a committee and you vote on it. So I feel like those are way more legit. But again, WWE Hall of Fame, as long as you don't take it seriously as, oh, well, he's a Hall of Famer, he's not a Hall of Famer. I mean, come on. You look at some of the names in there. They just, every year, they just want to fill it up, and they want to put in people that were on TV and people they can merchandise, and you know, the fans that go off every year. I'm sure you've heard the rumblings like, oh, why is Demolition not in the WWE Hall of Fame? Why is King Kong Bundy not in the WWE? Those are the two names that stand out, and they're not in the Hall of Fame. Why? I don't know. Maybe there's maybe they had a lawsuit against them at some point. That, you know, who knows the reasons? But I mean, I just think that's why it shouldn't really be taken seriously. It should just be looked at as anything else. It's entertainment.
I don't look at it as the end-all be-all. I look at it as fun.
Right, exactly.
I think all Hall of Fames are fun. That's where you go. You're reliving memories from the past of whatever sport it may be. So I agree. It's not the end-all and be-all, but, you know, I'm glad they're around. I'm glad at least that segment of WWE looks at the past, because if you watch the show now, they never refer to anything that's older than 4 weeks old. So, so I'm just glad they're around. I'm glad I had this experience, and you're going to hear some interviews with some of the stars who were from the Albany induction weekend, and we're gonna bring those to you in just a couple of minutes. Joe, good to see you again. Thank you for being our co-host each and every week here, and for your Generation X Wire entertainment website. The entertainment website, but the difference, it's got more stuff. Like I said, it should be called "Oh Yeah," because it's like. Joe here and his staff dig up some really cool esoterica about entertainment. So nice job.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that.
And we'll be right back with a bunch of audio tapes of a bunch of people. Brian Solomon. Just stay tuned. You never know who you're going to hear. I'm not going to even tell you until you hear them. So there you go. Now you have to listen to the end of the show. I need the ratings points. You know, this is commerce, folks. We're working hard here, you know? I'm working day, night, in between. Actually, I'm not. We'll see in just a minute. All right, we're going to get started with our interview segments. There's 5 of them. And we're going to start with somebody who is directly responsible for the success of this particular podcast. We're going to start with Morgan Williams. He's one of our fan club members. He's been with us from the very inception of the show, almost 4 years ago, and we really appreciate his patronages and his friendship. And he's a remarkably funny guy, really smart when it comes to everything Matt-oriented. And it was great to see him again. I've seen him for 2 successive years there. The first year I didn't expect to see him at the Albany International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, which, by the way, as a structure you have to check out. Find a way to go to the MVP Arena and see the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. You will not be disappointed. It's affordable. It's fun. It's vital if you care about the history of professional wrestling. So in any event, here's Morgan Williams from Albany, New York originally, and he's there again. One cool dude. Here he is. I owe a great deal of thanks to Morgan Williams of Albany, New York, who has been a supporter of this show since practically day one. It's going to be 4 years in January. Thank you, Morgan.
Oh, thank you, Bob. Thank you for continually talking about the good old days. I actually go back to the Resi show with you.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
The first time we ever spoke was on the Resi show.
You're one of the people that said, "Where is he?"
Yes. I freaked out and sent him a pretty wild email. Like, I don't know, that's the only other way I could put it. I mean, no disrespect to anyone, but it totally just changed everything. But, you know, it changed everything in a positive way, because now we have the Outdated Wrestling Hour, Bob Smith. It's a fantastic show.
Well, here's the deal. Was I happy getting AMPS grade? No. Am I happy now? Ecstatic. I never thought that when I started my own thing, when he gave me the heave-ho. I had my own podcast in the year in 4 days. I put it all together in 4 days. Now, if you listen to that thing, it's pretty. It's got hair all over it. But I learned more as I went along. I've been taking it seriously as hell. I've had people like you helping us out. And now I think I have a quality show that could be matched with anything on the internet. I don't care what anybody says. And the numbers are proving it. We're somewhere between 40 and 75 or 80 in the ratings. And that doesn't sound like much. But what you got to realize, we're up against The Undertaker and Bruce Pritchard and Eric Bischoff and moneyed, Stephanie McMahon, shows with corporate money behind them.
Yeah.
I am my own grandpa. I do everything, the promotion, the editing, every little aspect of the show I do by myself. I am having a blast. I've made new friends. I'm seeing old friends like Apter, who's here right now. I'm meeting new friends like you. What could be better than this? At my age, are you kidding me?
And the stock for Carvel cakes has gone through the roof.
I am telling you, the sales in the throughout the Long Island area have gone through the roof. You're right. Now, it's not fudgy, though. I think we're selling more Carvelanches. They give me the reports. We're teasing, folks. But in any event, and here's the deal. I get more mail about the Carvel stuff than anything else we do.
Carvel is amazing. Of course you do. I mean, Fudgy the Whaler, the memories of the commercials, Tom Carvel. Like, I want to say everybody, but people my age, us outdated people grew up with the Carvel. Like, and it's just amazing.
Now, you're an Albany denizen. How are things here? How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And I've been back in Albany about a year now, and it's wonderful. I mean, love my job, reuniting with old friends, and very proud to live in a city that has an International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and you know something, folks? I sat down to write an article for a website about the Wrestling Hall of Fame stuff. There's really only 2 right now that I know of. There's the Thez Trago.
In Iowa, right?
Right. And then there's the other one that closed. The one that used to be in Amsterdam has closed. It closed 3 years ago.
Ah.
And then there's this one. I can't find another.
Well, the one in Amsterdam, I used to go to that one as well. And there was a period of time I thought they moved to like Wichita Falls, Texas.
They did, but they got flooded out and never reopened.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of controversy around it, and things are up in the air. But that's why I'm so thankful to have this Hall of Fame right here in a legendary arena.
I've talked to people in the business poo-pooing this place, the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. They really should. It's just a fun time. They're really serious about paying homage to the greats of the game. And what could be wrong with that?
If they poo-poo it, that's proof they've never been here. If you come here, you'll be amazed at the things here. They got gorgeous George's boots kicking around here somewhere. Yeah. I mean, this is a legit Hall of Fame.
Absolutely it is. And you're a legit guy, a legit friend. Morgan, I can't thank you enough for supporting the show for the last 4 years. Stick with us, will you? Because I think the best is yet to come. And the beauty part is I'm going to be more of a full-time working on this coming up in 2026. So stick around. I think we're going to surprise you with some good stuff.
Fantastic. Actually, you surprised me today when I was actually on my lunch break and working at the Whole Foods in Colony Center. Okay. As I'm listening to your current episode of the Outdated Wrestling Hour, and I happened to look at Facebook, and you posted on Facebook that you were in the Barnes & Noble, like right across the other side of where the same building I worked at. And it was a surreal, outdated moment. Listening to you and then seeing a post you were in the same
I didn't
building.
know you worked at Colony. First of all, I don't remember the Colony Center was that big. It's one of the biggest shopping malls to walk across twice. Like I walked across the length of the second floor and the first floor, and my tongue was hanging out. So
it could have its own zip code.
It could. Well, anyway, thanks again.
All right, thank you.
As most of you know from listening to this Outdated Wrestling Hour podcast, I worked at Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine for about 8 years in the 1980s and 1990s. And Bill Apter was I guess he was called the senior editor or photo editor, but he was the backbone of those magazines, all of them, Inside Wrestling, The Wrestler, you name it. Bill was the conduit between all the stars and our editorial office. Without Bill, there would have been no PWI. There's no question about that. I appreciated his efforts and his friendship, and that friendship goes strong. How many years later is it now? It's decades later. He just turned 80 years old, and we're going to celebrate his birthday with an interview. And here comes Bob 20 minutes from now to start the damn thing. And we had such fun the weekend of the 2025 induction ceremony at the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. And Bill was a big part of all that and will continue to be a big part of everything that happens there in that growing institution, which I want you all to check out. You got to do it. You will not regret it. Until you do that, here is the one and only multiple-time Hall of Famer all over the wrestling world, Bill Apter.
Okay, fans, this is Bob 20 minutes from now, and I'm here with the one and only Bill Apter, the only guy I'm older than. How you doing?
No, I don't know if you're older than me, and why you're making fun of my accent.
I'm not making fun of your accent. This is the way I talk.
This is the way I talk.
What did you say?
What do I say? I say, why do you say what I say?
What did you say?
Wait a minute, let me have a cookie here. Oh, so what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about cookies?
I want to talk about the fact that you are having a big celebration at the Hall of Fame. You're turning 80 years old.
Oy vey, I'm turning 80 years old and I still feel like I'm 90. No, I still feel like I'm 35 because I do what I love.
Yeah, me too.
And I love what I do. My career in pro wrestling, being a media personality, I'm not just going to say a journalist, for almost 53 years now, and I'm only 40. And during the day, helping people with disabilities to find jobs. I love both the things that I do so very much.
Yeah, it's great what you do in your full-time gig. And again, I just want to take a couple of minutes. We are about to hear, by the way, we're here at the Hall of Fame, and we're going to have our 80th birthday celebration. They're nice enough to put this out together for you.
It's the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, if you will.
Well, I thought there was a junior at the end, but what do I know?
Do you do any wrestling imitations?
Wrestling imitations?
Yeah. You know, I do lots of them, and I like to hear of other people.
All right, I do Baron McKelsa Clooney. Ready?
Yeah, let me hear that. That's really good.
Yeah, I thought it was good, yeah.
You know something, brother? That was absolutely beautiful in the TV Wonderland.
That, of course, was Dick Bockwinkel.
How did you know that?
Well, I watched it along with you, Listen, I just want to say publicly, Bill and I worked together at the office for about 8 years, and I hung around for another couple doing freelance for the company, and I had to leave because they moved. I didn't get fired.
No,
and I didn't quit.
No, you didn't.
I had to go.
Yeah.
I always considered a cosmic screwing is the way I put it.
If you have to go, it's down the hall to the left.
Thank you. How did you know I was incontinent? Anyway, in all seriousness, no, seriously, it broke my heart. It really did. But when I left that company.
Wait a minute. It broke the hearts of the rest of this. I've got cookies in my mouth. It broke the heart of all of us when you left.
I don't know what to say to that other than I appreciate it. The one thing I know is that, the minute Stanley Weston walked in and said, I'm selling to Nick Carabots in Pennsylvania, I was gone mentally. That was it. I knew I couldn't go. There's no way I could go. I just bought property, right?
I didn't want to go. And my first call was to Vince McMahon, who gave me a freelance job procuring things for the initial Hall of Fame. That lasted freelance for about 3 years. I got paid every month for it. And, but I didn't want to move either. And Vince had said to me, what are you doing now? I said, well, we just sold the house. We're moving tomorrow. And he said, well, I'm going to get J.J. Dillon in touch with you and put you to work for our Hall of Fame part-time. I don't want you to leave your day job. Yeah, story I've rarely told.
Yeah, that's not common knowledge, that one.
Yeah. And he never touched me, by the way.
Oh, well, that's good. Oh, geez, stop it. But in any event, no, and seriously, things happen for a reason. I landed on my feet. I made 4 record albums. I got played on the radio. I toured the country for 15 years. I mean, I've done a lot of things. I've sang with B.B. King 10 times. I've done a lot of things. Like I always say, mere mortals haven't had the opportunity, including working with you.
Yeah, well, thank you. You were with me during my best pro wrestling time and my best boxing time because we did boxing magazines back then, too.
Well, do you remember I was hired as a boxing wrestling hybrid because I had worked with Mike Tyson?
Right.
And I actually wrote a couple articles when Tyson beat Spinks at the Garden and a couple of other boxing. But then I went to Stu Sachs. I said, I got hired to do wrestling. I really wanted to do the wrestling. I was more interested in the wrestling. I say this. I don't think it's an egotistical thing. You there were a lot of smart people there. Craig Peters is a smart guy, but he wasn't a wrestling fan when he started.
Right.
Dave Rosenbaum, I don't think was that much of a wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
Stu was kind of an on and off wrestling fan. I think when I walked in there, I was the number 2 guy in terms of wrestling knowledge after you. Do you agree with that?
Thank you. Yeah, I do appreciate that.
Do you agree with it?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. You did the PWI 500, which people still yell at me when they see the magazine on the stands. Even last month in September 2025, after Why Did You Rank Me So Low? They don't know I left in 1999 to help the 3rd issue of WOW magazine go forward. So I still get it, but no one could do the PWI 500 like you did. We'd meet in a room and rank the first maybe 100 altogether.
You and me. Ranked them, yeah.
Right.
I had to write them up.
Right. But you had the first 100, but after that, you had to rank them and write all the bios, and I never would have had the patience to do that.
Well, as you remember, Stanley Weston went by and saw the lights on at midnight, and he wanted to call the cops.
Yes.
He called Stu. Somebody's in the office. And Stu said, no, hold on. It's Bob. He's working on the 500. Everything's fine. But Stanley thought somebody broke in the office.
Because you had a newspaper background coming in, and newspaper people worked all night in the newsroom doing their jobs.
That's exactly right. That's a great point you just made. And you know what? To this day, I will say this. I've been so successful at so many different things. It's because I'm the hardest working son of a bitch you will ever meet.
You are. You and me, I think we're equal that way. I never stop. People want to know what kind of drugs I am. It's Fruit Adventure Tic Tacs.
But you know what? The key to hard work is this, and you'll probably agree with this. It's to enjoy that work.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you put your head on the pillow at the night, you want to sleep soundly. You know you did the best job you could.
People ask me, what do I do to relax? I work.
Yeah, you do. That's right.
Yeah, that's what
my dad was like that too.
Yeah, I can't sit still on a beach or anywhere to quote unquote relax. My mind is always going. I'm always coming up with ideas, and I've always got to be doing something, whether it's the day gig where they say, listen, after 5 o'clock, just shut it off. And I said, I can't.
Well, I didn't mean to take up this much of your time.
I love you in a guy way, of course.
Well, of course. I you know something? You read my mind, because I'll tell you what. I've been blessed 1,000. Oh, I'll tell the other story when we're in front of people. But I first met Bill long before I worked at PWI. I met him at the Washington Avenue Armory in 1977. The main event was Tony Gurria versus Superstar Graham. Do you remember this?
Very well. I photographed it.
Yeah, and I pestered him. I said, are you Bill Apter? A little kid. Not even little. I think I was about 19. Are you Bill Apter? He said, yes. And we had a nice little short conversation.
I told you I was?
Yeah.
A lot of people can't tell the difference between me and George Napolitano. Right.
Oh, I could.
You knew it was me.
I knew it was you. You guys don't look alike at all.
I want to tell you how much I appreciate your support of me, not just as a friend, but in terms of the arenas that we've been blessed to be at. Yeah.
Oh, we had some great times. I will never forget the first SummerSlam we were at together. I don't know where you were, but I was in the second row, just sitting there covering it. And because our magazines had been kicked out of the garden at that point because Vince McMahon, right? But you went into the parking lot, and all the guards went, "Oh, hi, Bill," because you've been there for so many years. Yeah. We just walked in and talked to wrestlers for 45 minutes.
Yeah. I still do it. Yeah. I was at AEW when they were in Philadelphia, and they opened the door for me. There was no stopping me from being with the wrestlers. And what gets me is some of the wrestlers that are 25, 30 years old. Hey, Mr. Apter, I grew up seeing your pictures and reading your columns in the magazine. I mean, wow.
Yeah, that means a lot to me, too.
But keep in mind that things are different when I get home. Here, schmuck, take out the garbage. None of that.
Yeah, that's what it works. You didn't wash that fork yet.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, too. That is the lift in your shoe that you can't describe. When somebody I don't know and have never met goes, and they send me a PDF of some old thing that I wrote, and they took a picture of it.
Yeah.
To have value to another human being is the best thing in life. I think you would agree with that.
1,000,000%. Yeah, and A gentleman from Ireland came over to me, Coney, Ireland. No, gentleman from Ireland, and he said to me that I have a very big fan base in Ireland. And I said to him, I'm going to England in February for the Love of Wrestling convention, where I'll be doing my one-man show and hosting some Q&As. But we talked about maybe bringing me to Ireland as well. So, yeah, I would love it. I would love it, me boy.
You got to love wrestling fans. You got to love them. They never forget. They're like camels. They remember stuff I did that I don't remember I did.
Same thing with me. And I always tell people that when I got into the business, I wanted to show that I could do more than photography and more than writing columns. To me, it's all about the show, making sure the fans have a great time at whatever shows they're at. And if I can be a part of it, that's wonderful.
There you go. Bill, enjoy the rest of your chips. And we have a party to take care of here, so let's get to that, shall we?
There's a party going on right here.
Watch it. Wait. You know what it is about podcasts? You can't even sing one line of a copyrighted song on a pod. Did you know that? You get sued.
It was half a line.
All right. Okay, fine. Besides, it was so bad, nobody will know what it was anyway.
No, I said there's a party going here tonight.
Potty?
Right, I'm turning 80, remember?
Oh, there's a potty going on right here. You're a pisser.
Urine, too.
All right.
By the way, we'll see you
at the matches.
You got it.
The pencil kick.
It's been your pleasure to hear the round, dulcet tones of the Grand Wizard of Wrestling. Get that microphone out of my face.
This visit to the National Corn Association has been brought to you by Bill Apter and Bob Smith. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bob. It was a pleasure.
By now, I'm sure everybody knows who was inducted into the Hall of Fame in Albany. But I want to put a few words in here from somebody who didn't really get interviewed a lot at all during his career with the World Wrestling Federation, yet he's a Hall of Famer in both this International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame and the WWE Hall of Fame. It's Johnny Rodz, as good as anyone who has ever worked in a professional ring. Period. End of story. And one of the most legendary trainers in the business to this day, and he looks great, and he's still at it. Now, I want you to know, Johnny's going to be on the show again. I have been invited to literally go to Gleason's gym, where I will bring my field recorder and sit down with him and have a nice interview with him very, very soon. Check out where he trains all the wrestlers. I've never been there before, and I'm really looking forward to it. But until that happens, here's a few words from his acceptance speech in Albany.
I'm going to say this guy here, I know for maybe 51 years, but holy crap. And he is one of the nicest and the most true friend that I had for many years. That's why when Sex Turner says, Johnny, hello, Johnny, how you doing, my man? That's what he called me, my man. So I said, oh, wow. Sid, what's up? He goes, I have to tell you, you're being inducted in the Hall of Fame, International Hall of Fame. I said, what? He says, yep. Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. I think we talked about maybe close to 45 minutes to an hour, right, Pop? Yeah. And believe me, I call everybody Pop, okay? Whether you're old or not, okay? Or young. I told it, isn't that right, guys? Yell out, yes. Yes, I have something to show you what's going on here tonight. So anyway, we talked for close to an hour, I think, maybe. I just back room upstairs and we talked. And then finally says, I forgot all about it. I got so busy talking to him, I couldn't care less. So he goes, wait a minute. I got to tell you one thing. I said, what, sir? He said, who do you want to induct you? I said, Eddie Johanna. He didn't say nothing. Oh, he didn't say nothing. Wait a minute. So all of a sudden, I said, Eddie Johanna. He goes, okay, I got it. Bingo, Eddie Johanna. Okay. So from there on, we talked a little bit, and everything was set. And I guess I said, wow, this is not right. Church, this is crazy. because way before that, I don't know, in 1996, I was in the same position in Brooklyn, New York. I was doing tiles on the floor. And I get a call about close to 12 o'clock. And it was from WWE. And it was somebody that, like Davey said, that they're taking over the whole shabru, whatever you call it, in the business. And this guy who called me is some voice that I have never heard. So I said, okay, we're going to use that word kayfabe again. So I figured somebody is going to kayfabe me about, hey, Johnny, Vince McMahon said to call you and you're going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. I said, okay. He says, call back tomorrow before 12 o'clock. He wants to put the lease down. I said, okay. I kept doing my tile and I said, hey, Mom, ladies and gentlemen, before I continue on, this is my friend for more than 50 years. And singing with him is his wife, Kathy. And behind David is my lovely wife, Ellen. So now, I didn't want to do that in the beginning, but I want to do it now. I did it now, and now I'm going to continue to tell you that when this voice on the phone said, you've been inducted in the Hall of Fame, I said, okay, Vince wants you to call him and let him know if you want to be inducted. I said, okay, I'll call tomorrow. All right, don't forget, before 12 o'clock, because they don't want to do the schedule. I said, okay. I said, I told my wife, and my wife, you know what? We do a lot of kayfabe, but nobody knows how to talk tears on it, right, Tony? A lot of people don't know what tears on is all about, right? Yes. Tito, what do you think, Papa? And same baloney. Everybody thinks they know all about that, right? So I said, somebody's kayfabing me. So I told my wife, and my wife understands a little bit. She hang around with me quite a few years about all that business stuff. So anyway, we kept going, and I didn't even pay no attention. And I was, again, close to 12 o'clock on the floor, doing the middle, the aisle. I get that other call. And I'm going to mention one name that everybody knows. And then the next day when somebody called, Johnny, da-da-da. I said, Howard? I said, Howard. It was Howard Finkel. And I know Howard Finkel. He has a special voice and one of the greatest announcer all over the place to the end. Howard Finkel all the way to the end. A Hall of Famer, a gentleman and a scholar. And I said, Howard, is this for real? He said, yeah, Vince says that he's waiting for you. I said, well, then Howard, then yes, I'm on him. Okay. And he says, like Santana said, he says, and who do you want to induct you? I said, oh boy. There's one gentleman that a lot of people never hardly ever mentioned because he was a booker for many, many years. He was Vince McMahon #1 shooter, if you want to call it. And that's Arnold Skoll, the Golden Boy.
You all know how much I admire the author, writer, PWI guy, and everything else in the world, Brian R. Solomon. And he invited me to come out to Connecticut recently for a book launch party for his great new book about Gorilla Monsoon. Absolutely a fantastic book. You just heard us talk about it on the show recently. There's a little bit of noise in the audio here. Please forgive it. I just think what Brian had to say to me for the few minutes we were able to talk together is very interesting. And Brian is amongst this new cream of professional wrestling writers that are world-class writers and journalists on top of loving professional wrestling. You can put Ian Douglas in that basket too. I mean, it's just, we are in a golden age in pro wrestling books. Keith Elliott Greenberg, Tim Hornbaker, go down the list. I'm talking just the journalists, real people who could write anything, but they're choosing to write about pro wrestling. That's the difference between today's books and a lot of the older books. All I can say is Book's fantastic. I had a wonderful time seeing him again. He was dressed in a sport coat that is beyond description. But I will say, and there was a lot of mementos there. Gorilla Monsoon's license plate, the actual tag team, WWF U.S. tag team titles as actually worn by Killer Kowalski and Gorilla Monsoon. I kid you not. It was just an absolute amazing time we had. And I couldn't stay particularly long because I had another function that evening, but I'll tell you what. Here's a few words for Brian R. Solomon, who's, again, his friendship I value as well, and I hope that perpetuates into the future because I think the best is yet to come from Mr. Brian R. Solomon.
All right. We are at the soiree here for Brian Solomon's brand new book, Irresistible Force, The Life and Times of Gorilla Monsoon, which is, as we speak, #1 on the Amazon wrestling charts, number 13 in all sports biographies, and is generally worthy of that designation because what a great book. And thanks for having me here. I appreciate it.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I'm glad that you were able to make it out. I'm excited about the book. We have a nice turnout. And yeah, I'm at the top right now, so take that, Karrion Kross and Tyrus and AJ Lee.
I didn't expect that, but no, it is a great book. We just did, Steve Gennarelli and I just did a top 10 of our favorite wrestling books, and your Chic book is still #1 with me. And I think it was on his list too, as #1. We had both of your books on the top 10.
Right, yeah.
Here's the big question I think a lot of people are wondering. This is a lot of work. I know what it's like to write. I can't imagine what it's like to write a biographical book. You got anything else in mind?
Well, right now, my main priority is resting because I just did 3 books in a row without stopping. I did Blood and Fire, The Sheik, and then I did my superheroes book, and now the Gino book. So I'm thinking if I do anything, I might wind up doing something that is non-wrestling. I know it'll break people's hearts, but I might try doing a novel or a family memoir. If I do a wrestling book, I was thinking about doing an art book on wrestling magazines, which I know you would love too. Like looking at sort of like the magazines of the 50s through the 90s, you know, the heyday of wrestling magazines.
Now, you and I had talked about wrestling magazines in the past, and Tom Burke is here. And by the way, thank you, because this is the first time I ever met Tom Burke, so this is a big deal for me. But you often talk about just dreaming about reviving a wrestling magazine or something based on nostalgia or old stuff. It seems daunting. Do you ever feel like following through on it, or is it just a pipe dream?
It's not a pipe dream. It's something I've tried to really do, but you have to connect with the right people. And unfortunately, you can't just have creative people. If it only took creatives, we'd have it done. You need money people. You need capital. You need investment. You need, I can't sink my money into this. That's the problem, because I'll be ruined if it doesn't work out. So over the years, we've tried to connect with certain people, but it's always a question of, will the demand be enough? Because what I would want to do is a wrestling nostalgia magazine. And I know that's a very niche thing. There's nothing like it out there, but you still have to make sure that it's worth the time and the money that goes into it. And that's the only thing holding it up.
Maybe if we keep talking about it, somebody will say, hey, that's a cool idea, and give one of us a phone call. The next thing you know, you never know. You just don't know.
I hope so. I hope maybe somebody hears this and steps up to the plate. I have a feeling it'll happen one day. It really, because there's a lot of people out there that I think would buy it, especially if you did it like online, kind of a limited print run, and you don't have to worry about wide distribution. I think it could happen.
It's been a heck of a 5 years for you. 10 years ago, did you ever picture yourself in the spot you're in now in terms of the accolades you're receiving and everything else that go with that?
No, not at all. 10 years ago, I was just starting to dip my toes back into the world of wrestling. I from when I left WWE in 2007, for years after that, I would write the occasional PWI article or the Wrestler or something, for, 1 or 2 a year. I wasn't really doing much. And then it all started getting big with the Pro Wrestling FAQ book about 10 years ago. I started to get pulled back in. And then when the pandemic hit, I went whole hog, 100% into it. And so now 5-6 years later, it's led to all this. So it's very gratifying.
Well, what's gratifying for me, my friend, is that fact that we are friends now, and getting to know you the last couple of years has been a real pleasure. And I just want to thank you for your friendship, because every time we talk, I have a blast, and I hope we could talk a lot more.
It's my pleasure, Bob. I'm always available whenever you want to talk to me. As you know, any subject, too, is on the table.
That's why I do 2 podcasts. Folks, it's Brian Solomon here at the Connecticut soiree for his new book, and it's available everywhere now as we speak. Irresistible Force, The Life and Times of Gorilla Monsoon. It's in my all-time top 3. I don't know what else to say other than if that's not a good enough plaudit for it, ask anybody else. They'll tell you. Brian, thanks again.
Thanks a lot, Bob. My pleasure.
Attention, Gen Xers. If you'd like to explore the era that appeals to you, look no further than GenerationXWire.com. The generation who grew up with elite in entertainment, music, movies, TV, books, pro wrestling, and more finally has a one-stop destination for all their Gen X needs. From Aerosmith to Batman to the Killer Bees to the Twilight Zone, there's something for everybody at GenerationXWire.com. You won't find a more eclectic mix of pop culture content than at the leading website that specializes in the greatest generation, GenerationXWire.com. Check it out today. There we go. There's another one. I want to, as we sign off, I want to do a little editorializing about the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Albany. Now, here's the deal. For me, it's romantic to go back up there again because I'm from that area. My first apartment I ever had was in Albany, New York, as a young chap. It's a long time ago. We're still talking 1970s, all right? And I'm romantic about that upstate area. I'm from Greene County, which is just south of Albany, and I spent a lot of time in Albany, Saratoga, worked in Albany in a couple of jobs. It feels like a lifetime ago because it was. 70s are a long time ago. But that's nothing to do with the Hall of Fame. This thing could be in Altoona, Pennsylvania, or Albuquerque, New Mexico, or Tampa, Florida. It doesn't matter. Seth Turner and Mike Lanuto are doing a fantastic job putting together artifacts, everything from trinkets to legitimate championship belts are in this Hall of Fame. There's so much. Ring attire, they're actually worn by the stars. The plaques are as good as anything you'll ever see. They're major league. Why? Because Seth found a major league plaque maker who literally does stuff for pro sports teams, and the plaques are just worth the trip all by themselves. Get the camera out and enjoy. Actual, clothing worn by the old school wrestlers, newspaper clippings that are just from ages and ages and ages ago. Books, boots, ring attire. It's all over the Hall of Fame. But the one thing that makes this Hall of Fame special is the passion about it. Everybody that's working there and all the volunteers, everybody else, is very passionate about putting together a Hall of Fame that does a wonderful job talking about the great stars of the past. For instance, Clarence Bolden. They brought in his heirs, his extended family to come and accept the award for this. That's just as good as it gets. It's the same thing last year when they had an old-timer forgotten by many or never known by many as part of wrestling history inducted into the Hall of Fame as well. That's important stuff. The stuff that many of us never saw or never knew about. I didn't know anything until Ian Douglas's great books came out recently, but any of this subject matter. It's all been uncovered, and hats off to the Hall of Fame for inducting Clarence Bolden. It's fantastic. The Hall of Fame is great. It really is. If you want to be a miserable cynic and not give it its due because of, the weights percent, I've heard all kinds of complaints. I'm telling you, people are not nice out there a lot. People miss the old Hall of Fame that used to be in Amsterdam, New York, where that's defunct now, or they compared to other Hall of Fames. This is its own animal. The heart of this organization is definitely in the right place. I'll put my professional reputation on, and I'll tell you, I was proud to submit an article about Johnny Rodz for the website, which ended up in the program for this year's event. And I'll be happy to do more of this or anything else the organization wants, or even maybe become part of the organization if they'd want me. Because you know what? This stuff's important. And it'll give me an excuse to go to my hometown every so often. The International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, Albany, New York. It's great. Full stop, period. Maybe put it in all caps. It's great. You'll have fun. Get up there. Find out how to be part of it. Anything. Life's short. Let's have some fun, and let's give thanks to the forefathers of professional wrestling, and the 4 women too, I should say. Because when Trish Stratus was inducted, in case you forgot who the Hall of Famers were this year that were inducted, you had Trish Stratus, Tito Santana, Johnny Rodz, Rocky Johnson, and the great Tony Atlas. I also had the opportunity to talk and hang out with the great Justin Race, the son of Harley Race, for quite a while during this particular Hall of Fame weekend. What a great guy. And Mrs. Harley Race was there again, too. And I hope they had a wonderful time. They were there because they liked the Hall of Fame, which should tell you everything you need to know. Harley was inducted last year, and yet Justin and his mom showed up this year. If that isn't a better endorsement for what the Hall of Fame is like, I can't think of a better one. It's just as good a tribute you can pay to show up when you just want to have some fun. I rest my case on that one. Mac Davis and Bill Apter were your hosts. Seth Turner had a lot of things going on, including some thumb wrestling between Kayla Sparks and Trish Stratus and all kinds of other effluvia. It all worked wonderfully. I think the best is yet to come. I really hope so. I don't want old wrestling to be shoved under the rug, so to speak. We all know what today's game is, sure. But today's game could learn a lot from the forefathers and 4 women. The 4 mothers, I don't know what to say. Today's wrestling can learn a lot from the men and women who made it grow, who made it the most popular spectator sport in the world for a long, long time. And the promoters could learn even more. So Seth Turner, Michael Lanuto, the whole gang up there, thank you very much. It was a lot of fun. And hope to see you next year. All right, there's another one. It's in the books. Write to us, outdatedwrestling@gmail.com. Our website, outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com, where you can get all of our shows at the press of a button. Bing. You want to hear the first one, the 4th one, the 18th one. In January, we're going to be here for 4 years, if I make it that long. And I'm really looking forward to entering our 4th year on the podcast airwaves. We have a fan club, which Morgan Williams, you heard him before. That's at outdatedwrestling.buzzsprout.com too, for a nominal fee, a couple of bucks a month. You can help perpetuate this show and our monthly show, the Outdated Entertainment Hour, where we take on, classic entertainment. So if that sounds like something you'd like to be part of, we would certainly appreciate it. And we appreciate all of our fan club members more than I can say. Thank you. Thank you all out there. We're at every social media you can think of. My main jam, though, is Facebook. My name's Bob Smith there, and I'm the only one. If you look at the page, I'm singing with B.B. King at the header on the top. Throwback to my musician days and the greatest stuff I ever did personally in my whole life. We're also at all the other ones at outdated_Bob. Underscore is not a word, it's an underscore. It's not like the line that's below the letters. So that's for Blue Sky and Twitter and X and all the others. I can't think of a social media thing I'm not on. I mean all of them. I'm there somewhere. That's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed this uniquely themed Outdated Wrestling Hour podcast. If you like it at your favorite podcast app, please subscribe. It means a lot. It really does. You can download them all there too. Listen to them on the go if you want to. We're at Apple, Spotify, iTunes. Just go down the list. We're at everyone I can think of. And that's thanks to all of you. They wouldn't have put the show on if they didn't think anybody's going to listen to it. So thank you. My name is Bob Smith. I used to be with Pro Wrestling Illustrated a long time ago. And until next week, in the words of Ringo Starr, as we say at the end of every show, peace and love, everybody. Peace and love.